There was a time when buying a game actually felt like owning something. You walked into a store, picked up a box, stared at the cover art for 3 seconds like it was a sacred artifact, and then took it home in a plastic bag like you had just acquired a piece of the future. Now you buy a game, and somewhere between the checkout screen and the download bar, ownership quietly dies in a ditch. And the weird part is, most people just accepted it. No dramatic protest, no candlelight vigil for the lost disc tray, no final speech from gaming culture's brave defenders. Just, yeah. Digital is more convenient, which is true, and also exactly how they get you. Because every time a company says more convenient, what they usually mean is we would like to remove your options, charge the same price, and make you feel grateful for the privilege. This is one of those changes that sounds harmless right up until the moment you realize you technically own nothing and somehow paid $70 for the experience. The convenience trap. Let's start with the obvious argument. Digital games are convenient. No disc swapping, no driving to a store, no waiting, no shelf space, no accidentally stepping on a game case in the dark like some kind of financial crime scene. You buy it, it downloads, you play. Simple. And to be fair, that is genuinely nice. But convenience is one of those things that sounds harmless until it becomes a weapon, because once people get used to convenience, they stop asking what they lost. That is the trick. First, it is, wouldn't it be easier if you could just download the game? Wouldn't it be easier if all games were digital? Then it is, wouldn't it be easier if the store vanished? Then it is, wouldn't it be easier if the game had a battle pass, 6 currencies, an online account, and a mandatory update just to open the menu? Convenience is great when it gives you more freedom. It is not so great when it is used as a polite excuse to remove every alternative. Because physical games did something digital games often do not. They gave you a thing, a real object. You could lend it to a friend, sell it, trade it, keep it on a shelf, lose it in a drawer for 8 years, and rediscover it like a forgotten prophecy. Digital games do not behave like that. Digital games behave like a temporary permission slip, and that is a very different relationship. And so, why companies love digital so much? Now, let's be honest. Companies adore digital because it is easier to control. If you own a physical disc, there are limits to what they can do after the sale. If you own the digital version, suddenly the company has more power than a medieval king with a spreadsheet. They control the storefront, they control the pricing, they control the updates, they control the licenses, they control whether your game exists in your library tomorrow or becomes a fond memory and a customer service headache. And from their perspective, this is beautiful. No discs to print, no warehouses, no shipping, no retailers taking a cut, no used game market, no customer legally selling the game to someone else after they finish it. That last one is a massive reason. A physical game can be resold. A digital game mostly cannot, which means companies make one sale instead of one sale plus a chain of secondhand sales that they do not get invited to attend. Now, to be fair, companies are not stupid. They know physical media is expensive and inconvenient to maintain. If you are publishing globally, digital is cleaner, faster, cheaper, more scalable. That is the practical argument. The darker argument is that digital makes the consumer more trapped, and trapped consumers are very profitable. Ownership is quietly dying. This is the part people should talk about more. The problem with digital is not just that it is convenient. The problem is that it slowly changes how people think about ownership. Because when everything becomes digital, people stop asking, do I own this? And start asking, can I still access this? Those are not the same question. If a physical copy of a game works, it works. If a digital game gets delisted, updated into something unrecognizable, or tied to servers that eventually shut down, then your ownership starts looking suspiciously like a long-term rental with better branding. And gaming is not the only industry doing this. Movies, music, books, software, everything is becoming a subscription, a license, a stream, a cloud service, or a monthly reminder that the product was never really yours in the first place. It is like society looked at ownership and said, no, thank you. We would prefer a temporary emotional relationship. Relationship gone wrong. That sounds dramatic, but it matters. Because physical media is not just nostalgia, it is preservation, it is access, it is stability, it is the ability to say, this exists and I can still use it. Digital only sounds futuristic until the platform changes, the license expires, or the store page disappears like it was never there. Then suddenly the future feels a lot like a polite robbery. The console business is helping kill it because it is really about what kind of relationship consumers want with the things they buy. Do you want to own media, or do you just want permission to access it for as long as the corporation finds that arrangement emotionally convenient? So, what happens next? I do not think physical games vanish overnight. There will still be collectors. There will still be special editions. There will still be people who want boxes on shelves because shockingly, humans enjoy having actual things. But the trend is clear. Digital will keep winning because it is easier for companies to manage and easier for most consumers to tolerate. The question is whether that trade is worth it. Because sure, digital is convenient. So is putting your valuables in a box and handing the key to a company that promises not to lose it. And historically, that kind of trust has gone great for everyone involved. So yeah, physical games are disappearing, not because people stopped loving them, but because convenience, control, and profit all pointed in the same direction. And once that happens, the disc was never really in the fight. It was just waiting for the update. And one day soon, somebody will look at an old game case on a shelf and ask, wow, you could actually own games back then? And that will be the exact moment we realize the future is not always an improvement. Sometimes it is just a very expensive downgrade with better loading times.